Welcome to Tentative Title with Tim. This is a podcast about creativity, about process, about filmmaking, and about screenwriting. Welcome everybody to the show. So today's topic, I kind of wanted to talk about what's been going on in the world right now. At least if you've been on social media, you've seen this happen pretty much every day. And I'm not going to try to condemn anybody or try to defend anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do right here. But I did want to talk about cancel culture in relation to our mental health as creators. I think cancel culture can kind of stop us from creating something that we want to see, or something that we want to read, or just anything that involves art. Art is a very messy, pursuit. It's messy internally as an artist. You're always in self-doubt. You're always questioning if you're doing the right thing, if your message is coming across. Sometimes even what is the message? Like you get this inspiration and you think, I love the idea of that, but I don't know what it means. I don't know what the context is. I don't know, but I know that I like that idea and I want to have the freedom to investigate where that idea could go. And with the idea of cancel culture kind of looming over our heads, it can kind of freeze us from even pursuing something that would be an idea that explores, why there's so much hate for something, or why there is, so much love for something too. Because on both sides, there's reasons why we hate a lot of things, and there's reasons why we love a lot of things, and they're not all, grounded in pure motives. And that's interesting because we're human beings. We have all kinds of reasons why we do things, and sometimes they're rational and sometimes they're very irrational. And if we don't have the freedom to kind of explore those avenues and to create characters that are the epitome of the thing that us personally as artists hate, then we're diminishing our ability to actually have a conversation about the reasons why we hate or love something. It's a very touchy subject, I know, because just like free speech, there are some things that we're not supposed to touch, or like there's certain phrases, there's certain subjects that we're just not supposed to explore, because there are clear historical reasons, but there are and sometimes safety, especially with free speech. You don't yell fire in a crowded theater, like stuff like that. But other than that, our ability to explore dangerous territory should not be hindered by our fear of being canceled. And I like to use the example, or I guess you would call this like this analogy of writing with the door closed, or creating with the door closed. Yeah, I got this concept from Stephen King, and it made a lot of sense when I read it, that when he's working on a story, he considers that part of the process before he shows anybody anything, that he's writing with the door closed. It means he can explore the story in all its bizarre nature. He can create characters that are just terrible human beings. He gives himself that freedom to go wherever the story leads him. And then once he's gotten to the end, he can go back and start to break it apart and figure out what the story actually is. And he can throw away a lot of stuff if he needs to. But he gives himself that freedom to create at the beginning, knowing that there's a lot of stuff that he's probably going to throw away or that he's going to change. And I fear that because of the idea that we'll create something in our privacy that ends up, for some reason, getting out into the public, that we just refuse to take any chances with what we do. And it does society no good to have artists who are just afraid to dig deep into issues of humanity, because they're afraid that someone's going to come along and completely disagree with what they did and say, well, since I disagree with what you did, you are no longer valid as an artist. And that's horrifying, because think of all the movies, all the books, all the things that you enjoy, that when you look back at it, especially, as a kid, there were movies that I watched as a kid and I didn't think twice about what was happening in the films. It was just good entertainment. It was adventure. It was exciting. But then as an adult, I look back at these films and I'm like, wow, they took a lot of chances. They did things in those movies that if they were done today, they would immediately be canceled. They would immediately be considered pulled off streaming sites or something. And I'm not saying that the artists knew what they were doing back then, but they were they were doing what was acceptable, I guess, at the time. But what was acceptable at the time as well was this ability to explore bizarre ideas, the ability to try things, and to basically just to have fun with a narrative. It's like, if anybody is taking a movie really seriously, or a piece of fiction very seriously, it's like that's an impossible thing to get right, I guess. It's an impossible thing to get right when in terms of the public not finding some fault in it. And I think I hope I'm not the only one who feels some anxiety when I'm trying to work on a story, and in the back of my mind I'm thinking, well, if I make a character like this, then that means so-and-so group is going to, come after me if they find out. Oh, but if I make a plotline like this, then I'm going to be considered to be this. If I, just the list is endless. And it's not healthy for artists. It's not healthy for creation. It's not healthy for, what, we're trying to do. And yeah, there are different standards today, and I completely understand that. But let's not let the standard of what is eventually going to be shown to the general public take away from our ability to go to extreme places when we're creating these stories. Because eventually no matter what you write, no matter what, there's going to be a process in which you're going to edit it down, you're going to change things, you're going to find a way in which, if it's essential for this plot line or this character to be a part of that story, that there will be a justification within the narrative that that character or that plot line needs to be there because it's part of that story. And there's no way you're going to make everybody happy. So, I mean, I really don't have the answer when it comes to what to do not to get canceled. I just don't know. And I'm not going to say I don't care because, it involves, livelihood. It involves being able to create more. It involves curating an audience. It involves so many other things, which is why it's such a powerful thing and why, so many people are reactive when somebody is essentially canceled. So I guess with this whole thing is that I just wanted to start the conversation about cancel culture in terms of how it relates to creating new stories and if that affects any of you guys. I know it's a touchy subject. I know that there are opinions on both sides about, who should be canceled and who shouldn't and where things went too far and not far enough. And that's always going to be a debate depending on who you're talking about. But in terms of as creative people, if the culture of being canceled is something that affects you and it affects your mental health, and if it stops you from taking chances that you normally would have taken if there was this freedom to kind of do whatever you wanted. And that's why I like the idea of the closed door, because it does give you that freedom. Nobody has to know what it is that you're exploring, what characters, what storylines. And after you're done exploring those things, you could, find that you actually have a point of view that makes sense and is coherent and actually brings up some good points. Or you may find that, I tried to explore this alternate point of view, or the opposing point of view, and it just didn't work out, and that's fine. And then, if anything, it allows for you to understand why you believe what you believe, or at least it allows you to try something and fail, and then you can start again and try something else. But the whole point is that being able to create freely is what I hope all of us are able to do. And, because we're artists, we have to be able to just step outside of the expectations of our world and say, I really want to see what happens when I go down this road. And I need to be able to do it without consequence. And if I find something, then I can bring it out into the world and hopefully have a conversation about it. But we can't do that if we're always afraid, if we're always feeling like we're going to be canceled. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I hope everybody's being safe, washing your hands, wearing the masks, all that stuff. And I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.